Hey there, everybody. Welcome to VGS Astro. Today I'm going to be talking about friendship and how we can look it up through astrology. And let's be honest, not all connections are friendships. Some of them are alliances. Some are actually betrayals waiting to happen. And in astrology, you look at the 11th house to know who your real friends are and where they even come from. But that's not the whole story. Friendship actually has three layers. One is the planet sitting in the 11th house. Number two is the Lord of the 11th and where it is going in your chart. The Lord of the 11th is also seen to see where your friends are coming from. And also, you're going to have to see two real karakas of friendship, Rahu and Saturn. Where they sit can actually show the kind of people that come into your life. So watch the whole video. Stay till the end. Let's see how we are all kind of destined to specific kind of friends. Let's begin and let's start with planets in the 11th house. But before that, let me also tell you a few things about the 11th house. The 11th house is the social group of your chart. 11th not only indicates your friends, it shows your alliances, it shows your colleagues at work, your teammates, and also somebody you meet while traveling, like in a bus or in a train, or meet in a restaurant where you go to dine with them on a regular basis. It's that social group in that neighborhood. That's the 11th house. It is actually the entirety of the web of people that you get to connect with. So let's now begin with planets in the 11th house. And if you have, let's say, if you have Sun in the 11th house, Sun in the 11th house means you would attract people who look up to you, or you would gain friends who inspire you. It could be either. Some of them can be even father figures, like a mentor that you choose, or your friends come to you for inspiration. Why? Because Sun is a Karaka for the ninth house. And ninth house is about mentors, leaders, people who have an influence over your behavior, someone like a guide. So you could either be leading a team of people, or you could be one among the team who is inspired by that fatherly figure. But the shadow of having Sun in the 11th is that you could kind of be um, somewhat unapproachable because sun burns, right? It's not easy to get near the sun. You are that fire, you are that authority, and that kind of repels people away from you. You're like the king, and the king does not have many friends. He has advisors, but they could be people who are sucking up to him. And as you mature in age, because 11th is in Upachya house, you would start hating the sycophancy. Also, Sun in the 11th means you might feel like your friends are somewhat one sided. Like people are going about you, they're orbiting you, but they don't really see you for what you are. So, the karma here is that you need to treat people like equals. Not everything has to revolve around your story and you being the leader in the group. And if you have Moon in the 11th house, Moon in the 11th is a very beautiful placement. Why? Because Moon gives beauty. Venus enjoys the beauty, but Moon is actually the one that brings beauty to you. And when it is in the 11th, people are naturally attracted to you. People may have seen you just once, but they would remember you. No matter what you look like or what you think you look like, you may feel like you are not that appealing, but no. Moon in the 11th always attracts people. It's got that magnetic aura that pulls people towards you. Unless, of course, this is a waning moon where the friends would come, but they would soon move away. Even if you don't see it, people are drawn to your softness. They're drawn to your vibe, your emotional intelligence. They want to be friends with you. And you are as much attracted to such people as they are to you. Moon brings emotional bond within friend circle. You could be attracting people who are um, very emotional, or they are very sensitive by nature. But then the opposite can also happen, where you could be attracting someone very cold and insensitive, especially if the moon is afflicted because of Saturn or because of Ketu, and that brings a sort of detachment or coolness to the moon. And the shadow side of the moon in the 11th is that you absorb too much from other people. One betrayal can send you into isolation. You can get hurt very quickly with moon in the 11th. Or you could become very sensitive if that one person does not invite you to a social gathering or to a personal event, and you'd end up cribbing about it for months. Now, Mars in the 11th. Mars attracts bold, driven, competitive friends. It's like your gang is always fired up. They're always ready to do something, ready to act, ready to be in motion. But here's the catch: with Mars in the 11th, it's going to open up the doors for fights, egos, clashes, arguments, and it's all part of the karma. Your gain comes when you channel Mars into collective goals. 11th is the collective goal. So you would gain in team activity, you would gain in sports or business ventures where you have multiple partners and you work like a team. Mars can also indicate that your friends are like your brothers or your sisters. They're always looking out for you. But also, nobody fights like Mars does. And Mars is in the 11th, you could have disputes with friends over money. So always make sure that money does not come in the way of friendship. You gotta set the right expectations from the very beginning when it comes to chipping in money. Let's say you go to a restaurant and you've got a lot of friends who you dine with. So you gotta tell them that they've gotta equally chip in the money for the dinner. And if you don't, they might just ignore it and you would end up bearing that expense. And if that happens, there could be a rift in the relationship with your friends. And that karma will carry on. So whether it is for travel or fine dining or work, be very careful when you're lending money to someone as well. And I would really say don't lend money to your friends when you have Mars in the 11th, especially if it's a negative Mars, because that is a disaster bound to happen. But in case it's a positive Mars, you will gain a lot of money through friends, through your network, through your siblings, and Mars will put your money to work. Fantastic position, depending on the dignity of Mars and your ascendant. And of course, I've kept um, the ascendant here, and your ascendant need not be here. It's just for the sake of simplicity. Okay? Let's say you have Mercury in the 11th house. Mercury is that dancing, prancing friend of yours. They're always active, they're funny, they're very talkative, they love gossip. So you could be attracting people who have a great sense of humor. And if it is morbid humor, then it's probably a negative Mercury. Nonetheless, they are friends who are very intelligent, very curious, and they always give food for thought. In a way, they are like your mental gym buddies. But the shadow side is that there could be a lot of gossip, shallow connections, constant mental stimulation without that emotional depth which you get with Moon in the 11th house. So the karma then is for you to connect with people who are emotional by nature, like Cancerians or um, Pisces. They would bring a great balance to your thought process. Mercury is also the Karaka of the third house of siblings. So, therefore, you could definitely attract friends who are like siblings. Mercury is known for communication and trade. So, you could have a social circle that's linked to these professions as well. That's linked to professions like accountants, like business people, teachers, writers. those who are into audit, taxes, including doctors and lawyers. And your strength in attracting people is actually in the way you communicate with them. People are drawn to the way you communicate. Mercury being the Vani, which is the speech planet in your chart, means your gains often happen through what you say and write. And if Mercury is strong, a single conversation can open the doors to wealth or alliances. But if it's a negative Mercury, like if it's afflicted by Rahu or if it's aspected by a cruel planet, you could be attracting people who are manipulative, and you yourself may fall prey into that trap of manipulation for gains. So let's say you have Jupiter in the 11th. Your circle is naturally big because Guru expands your reach. And it's not just more people, it's more quality people. Your friends could be wise advisors, mentors, benefactors who are very influential. Jupiter rules teaching and guiding. Your friendships may also revolve around people who you mentor or those that mentor you. Sometimes your friends become like your spiritual children or students, even if you're not literally a teacher. And always listen to your elder sibling with this placement when you have Jupiter in the 11th. Their words can actually bring the best in you. Jupiter in the 11th often shows gains and joy through children, either through your own children or through the children that you nurture. You might also make connections through your children's network. Jupiter also shows a trainer in a large organization, and this is a wonderful position for being a trainer who trains future young minds of tomorrow. And if your Jupiter is negative, you need to be a lot more giving to your friends. The more you give to your network, the more it multiplies. Jupiter in the 11th can bring gains through teaching, spiritual circles, religious institutions, advisory roles, publishing, and foreign people or foreign countries. So when you have Venus in the 11th house, Venus does not give beauty, Venus enjoys the beauty. Moon is the giver of beauty, Venus is the enjoyer of that beauty. The colors, the light, the sensation of being in a wonderful place is all because of Venus. The world becomes very colorful when you have Venus in the 11th house. You attract gorgeous, stylish, magnetic friends, and you love being around them. Also, Venus is your spouse and the Karaka for marriage. So you may get a spouse from amongst your social circle. Your gains come through women, creative people like artists or someone who's got a presence in media and entertainment or who's working in an aesthetic driven industry like fashion or design, and you gain through collaborations as well. But the shadow of having Venus in the 11th house is that you could become a bit too image focused, or you could keep friends just because they look good socially, like the way Vijay Mallya had friends. Vijay Mallya had Venus in the 11th house. So the karma for people who have Venus in the 11th is that you should appreciate the beauty that's on the inside as well. And when you start doing that during times of crises, that person will be the only one to support you. And when you have Saturn in the 11th house, Saturn brings the wise ones, the serious ones. They're more mature, they're much older than you, but they're more stable, and they're definitely karmic in nature. Saturn always brings karmic friends into your circle. And they don't come easily, but once they do, they are there forever. Saturn also does not like people who are showy. They befriend people who represent the middle class or the lower class, or people who are very humble, or people who do not have desire to build empires or wealth, but those that care about the small things in life, like peace of mind or having a good bond with other people or earning a good name. But of course, Saturn always likes to keep a low profile. So you could make friends much later in your life, but of course, Saturn does not deny, it only delays your friendship. But the shadow side of Saturn in the 11th is that Saturn can give you loneliness, especially if it is malefic. You would feel like you don't fit into that group at all. But remember, even if Saturn is malefic, Saturn will test your patience. It will not deny you friends. What you gain is friends who are loyal, friends who are there for you no matter what. The kind that show up when everyone else will disappear. Real friendship is seen with Saturn in the 11th house. It is a wonderful place for Saturn to be in. Okay, so what if you have Rahu in the 11th? Oh boy, Rahu brings obsession with groups. Rahu truly belongs in the wild. 11th house is really his forte. He loves having a large group of friends, even bigger than Jupiter. But Rahu is about having a big group of people with high status. He loves to make friendship with people who have the influence or who have that high status. Therefore, Rahu can give influential, high status friends, but also opportunistic and manipulative ones. So, what does that mean? That means Rahu can give you fake friends, friends who are motivated by the benefit that they get by being with you. And your social circle may have hidden enemies. You may be part of someone's game plan without even realizing that. Rahu 11 can also indicate unconventional or foreign friends. You may earn through foreign contacts, through foreign trade or technology, or through your own profession, like your business. The shadow side of having Rahu in the 11th is that uh, there could be betrayal, there could be fake friends, there could be sudden rise, sudden fall. But if you spiritualize Rahu, if you join a cause bigger than your desire, your gain is going to be legendary. Your network can make you very famous and popular. If there are benefits influencing Rahu in the 11th, your social circle can uplift you. But if your Rahu is influenced by malefics, then it can drag you into a scandal. And that's where you need to be very careful. So, what happens when you have Ketu in the 11th? Ketu in the 11th is like a lone wolf. Ketu loves solitude, being alone, away from the crowd, away from pomp and worldly life. So naturally, Ketu attracts people who are spiritual by nature or who experiment with spirituality. With Ketu in the 11th, you might feel people just don't understand you. You don't want friends who are materialistic. You want to connect with people who can understand your real desire. You look for soulmates in your social circle, and when you don't find it, you're bound to leave very quickly. You jump from one place to another. You start experimenting with things to know more about the higher truth of life. The karma is you've been there, done that with groups, and that's why you have Ketu in the 11th house now. Now it's about rediscovering connection with purpose. You would still gain from foreign connections, but Ketu in the 11th means your network is not just LinkedIn, it's like a video playlist. Some tracks play on repeat, others will disappear in the middle of that song. You'll have people show up out of nowhere, help you, and vanish like smoke because that chapter is over. So, what about the gains in when Ketu is in the 11th? Gains happen in unusual, mystical circumstances. They can come from the most unusual sources. But the moment you cling on to them, Ketu teaches you to let go. So Ketu 11th is not about quantity of friends, it's about the quality that they have. So now let's look at where your friends are coming from. The sign on your 11th house and where it goes tells you where your friends are coming from. Where your 11th lord is going in your chart is going to tell you what you're going to learn from your friends. So let's begin with the 11th lord going into your first house. So if you have your 11th lord in your first house, then people are drawn to your personality. Your gains come from you when you show up as yourself without any masks. You gain from friendship and you gain a lot of friends in this life. They are attracted to who you are because you're not that unapproachable person anymore. Even if it is Sun, which is the 11th Lord in the first house, you would still attract a lot of friends. Now, of course, if your 11th Lord is debilitated in the first house, like in the case of Libra ascendants, then obviously it means that you're going to attract weak friends who are indecisive and not very sure of themselves. And that quality can also seep into your own persona. So you got to be very careful of how much of the person you let into your life. But since Sun represents government and creation and creative pursuits, there will be definitive gains from friends who belong to those professions. Your friends are able to make meaningful contribution towards your evolution. If the 11th Lord, however, is exalted in the first house, which means Mars gets exalted in the sign of Capricorn, then that means this person could gain from his network in the government, like military or the police force, or even something connected with security, or someone who gains from friends in leadership roles or from his own brothers as well. You can become very famous with this position, almost like a celebrity. Now let's look at 11th Lord in the second house. Here, friends come through family. Friends come through financial institutions like banks. Your value will grow through your friends. You know what they say? Person is known by the company he keeps. So your self-worth is directly linked to your friends. They increase your net worth, they add value to your life. That could even be family, like your extended family of uncles and aunts and in-laws. Now, if the 11th Lord is debilitated in the second house, that means you attract people who are themselves very emotional, indecisive, or very mature or old in age, that they're not in a position to offer much support to you. But if your 11th Lord is exalted in the second house, like in the case of Leo ascendants, where Mercury is the 11th Lord and it sits in the sign of Virgo, then that person has a lot to gain from the very start of his life. The person gets the knowledge of business, of trade, of finance, of being very calculative. I've seen quite a few people who have a well connected family who have traditionally been into business all along. They have Mercury as their 11th Lord in the second house. Like in the case of Jains in India, where their social circle involves other Jains who are also into business and that kind of stuff. So, fantastic position to gain from family like friends. Let's say 11th Lord goes into the third house. Siblings, neighbors, co travelers, they turn into friends. Your friends could come through your siblings. You could make friends while dining in a restaurant or in a bus or train while you travel. This placement also shows that you put in a lot of effort to sustain your friendship because third house is about efforts. You also become a very self made person because of the 11th Lord being in the third house. And that means the support of your friends will come to you only when you put in the effort to sustain that friendship. So don't ignore the phone call from a friend to meet up. Don't say you can't do it. Don't give excuses. Also, this position shows that someone gains friends through sincerity. People admire you for the hard work, for your sincerity to become somebody, and that inspiration will bring in a lot of friends to you. This is more like a position where, you know, where the saying goes, God helps those people who help themselves. Now, if the 11th Lord is debilitated in the third house, then that means no matter what you do to sustain that friendship, it would feel like you're in a thankless circle of people including one's own siblings. You become unappreciated. One moment they are very happy and caring, and the other they don't even care. But you gotta be very careful with emotional friends or friends that drain your energy, especially female friends or colleagues. If 11th Lord is exalted, if 11th Lord is exalted in the third house, then we are looking at inherited friends, like friends of your father or your mother, and their children and their family now become your friend. And this also shows that you're going to gain a lot of friends. If your parent was in politics or into spirituality, you would have gurus, teachers, people who have professions in the education system as your friends. You could even gain friends who are into astrology and mystical sciences. These people can be very secretive by nature, and you would have the privilege of being with these people. Great placement if you're looking for benefits from these circles, especially financial benefits. And they're the ones who are willing to assist you at the time of a crisis. And they would be very generous friends. Now, let's say you have 11th Lord in the 4th house. When 11th Lord goes into your 4th house, friends feel like home. You make friends through your mother, your childhood, or in a common ground. Childhood friends tend to stick with you forever. You can get emotionally attached to these friends. 4th house also indicates society at large. So you could be getting friends through welfare organizations, associations, large set of group that form for a common goal like an NGO. So you become very close and intimate with people who have a very high humanitarian nature. You can also form a strong connection with your tenants or your landlord because 4th house is a real estate, home, land. You could have friends from real estate business to Vastu experts to interior designers, and you could benefit greatly from all of these people. Because when it comes to you, these people will take uh, maximum care in helping you get the most out of it. And if the 11th Lord gets exalted in the 4th house, then all the better. There's going to be tremendous gains coming from all angles. So let's say you have 11th Lord in the 5th house. Joyful, creative, romantic connections turn into lasting friendships. If the 11th Lord is negative in the 5th house, then this can get you friend zoned with someone you love. You don't want this position at all if it's a negative 11th Lord. But usually, this will bring you friends from the creative field or arts, music, media, and entertainment. It can also bring friends through your children, like you start connecting with other people while dropping your child at school. You know, that kind of bond, that kind of friendship is what we are looking at when the 11th Lord goes into your 5th house. This is a very nice placement to make a lot of money through friends, through your network, because 5th house is a Lakshmi Sthana. This will increase your prosperity like no other. And if the 11th Lord is debilitated in the 5th, then fear not, you're still protected by the grace of God. You will still stand to gain through your amazing intelligence, your amazing imagination. Great writers are seen from this placement. Now, if you have 11th Lord in the 6th house, your friendships and networks are linked to service, struggle, or competition. Your rivals or competitors become your friends. So, when that happens, what do you think is going to happen? It creates unnecessary tension and pressure in your friendship because they come with jealousy, they come with competition, or even lawsuits if it is badly afflicted. And you connect with people when you're dealing with problems, debt, or conflicts, or even disease. And that marks the beginning of friendship. Also, 11th Lord and 6th, if it is in good dignity, it can offer a service oriented mind. These people want to serve for a higher cause or the greater good. So these people can do splendidly well in welfare associations, NGOs, taking care of small animals. And speaking of small animals, one of the best remedies for 11th Lord and the 6th is to have a pet dog or pet cat. That way it burns the 6th house karma faster and makes it less malefic if you take care of your pet, that is. And if the 11th Lord is exalted in the 6th house, then your friendships come through the law field or from the medical field. Now, 11th Lord in the 7th house, friends come through marriage, clients, or one on one partnership. This is a mutually benefiting placement. You take care of your friends, and they in turn take care of you. It's like a web of connection, like your world is colliding with that of your spouse. Not much secrecy there. Everything is in the open. And once you collaborate with someone for something, it almost keeps continuing. The bond keeps going and going, unless there's a malefic aspect on the 11th Lord in the 7th, which can indicate a break in that bond. If it's influenced by a positive planet, then it will flourish the friendship. The shadow side of this theme is that it kind of blurs the lines between being a best friend and being a lover. So that means someone from among the friend circle has the potential of becoming your spouse. And if the 11th Lord is debilitated in the 7th house, then the person can be very impulsive when it comes to friendship. The kind that says, you know what, let's go to a restaurant and let's all eat French fries. And this person may not even care to ask what the other person wants. And that can be seen as being brash, dominating, and very imposing or obnoxious. It's almost like the person starts treating their friends for granted, like his children or someone from the family, and that can actually rub things the wrong way and make you to lose friends. However, if the 11th Lord gets exalted in the 7th house, then friendship come in very slowly, they mature over time, and they stay there for a long time. These are friendships that only death can do apart. There's plenty of balance in friendship. Everyone cares for each other without imposing their will on the other person. Opinions are respected. Although there could be ideological differences, they're still respected. This is a placement where the person would know when to stop pushing the limits and how to convincingly push his ideas to get the approval of the other person. Of course, there could be arguments in that friendship, but that brings the best out of that relationship. But the best part of an exalted 11th Lord in the 7th is that it brings a very supportive network circle that increase the confidence of the native. Wonderful position to have indeed. And if the 11th Lord is in the 8th house, friends come through crises, transformation, joint ventures, through your in laws, through family. Your circle of people are somehow or the other connected to insurance or mysticism or spirituality or something that's hidden from plain sight. Like people who are working in a research lab or those that work long hours and see the sun only once in a while. And in earlier days, we could restrict such network to a few professions, like being in the mining industry or in a research lab. But these days, things are not that fixed and definitive, is it? You could be dealing with a lot of professions which are very secretive. You could be dealing with secretive people. This is a very karmic position where it can indicate a very sudden loss of a good friend. And this position indicates ups and downs in friendship. People come, people go. Some of them leave a mark. Some of them end up becoming a negative influence in your life. There could also be hidden betrayals, which could actually come as a rude shock for some of you if you never expected something like that, if you're naive. Because your moon is also afflicted, then it could definitely come as a rude shock, and it could also be very transformative. At the same time, if the 11th Lord is in a friendly sign or if it is aspected by a benefic, then friends bring you back to life when you're almost in a state of death. Because 8th house is death. And 11th Lord is increasing the chances of death. But because of your friends, you could actually come back alive if it is aspected by a benefic. And I've seen this happen to a couple of people who kind of escaped suicide and came out of trauma or very tough situations, all because of their friends. Friends come from secret services as well, like defense, spies, police, or some other kind of a physically challenging job. If, however, the 11th Lord gets debilitated in the 8th house, then your friends can be your clients or students who are interested in mysticism. And this shows that people are a fan of your work, of what you do, and that expands your network. So now let's talk about 11th Lord in the 9th house. You gain friends through travel, especially traveling to faraway places. Your friends come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different ideologies, and that kind of fascinates you and keeps you seeking more from them. Ninth is also foreign, so you could have foreign friends. Ninth is higher education and philosophy, and that means you could have friends from spiritual or philosophical backgrounds, or you could have friends when you go to a university or when you finish college and move to do your PhD, you know? So your friends could be also coming from the education field, maybe even professors in a university or some form of guide or mentor to a lot of people, like a guru. And if the 11th Lord is exalted, then it gives you an open mind or at least a tolerance to mingle with people coming from different backgrounds. You're okay with them. However, if the 11th Lord is in a sign that's inimical, it can cause frustration because you have various options to choose from. And if you're in the pursuit of truth, then different ideologies can leave you a bit confused. If the 11th Lord is debilitated, you could lose money because of your friends, because of your social circle or your gurus. So, putting blind faith in friends and mistaking every companion for a guide can actually bring you losses when the 11th Lord is in the ninth house, when it is debilitated. But otherwise, let me tell you that friends open the doors of fortune for you when 11th Lord is in the ninth house. It's such a blessing to have good friends who care about your well being, who care about your prosperity and your evolution. Friends who literally change your destiny by introducing you to the right philosophy, the right place, or the right opportunity at the right time. Fantastic position to have. 11th Lord in the 10th house. Now, apart from your childhood friends, your friends are mostly from your professional workplace. Public reputation brings you friends. You gain through your career and also your status. Your real gain is friends who admire you and not just respect you for the sake of your rank or your status. So it can be a bit difficult to find true friends when you have 11th Lord in the 10th. It's mostly about give and take. Friends come and offer you lunch and expect something in return like a professional favor. And I'm not saying this is something where the friendship won't last, but I'm saying that it's one of the kind of friendship among many other combinations. But 11th Lord will bring plenty of gains through your network. Your friends can be your ticket to that new job or ticket to bringing you fresh business. Batch after batch, fresh business keeps coming because of your support system. Past life professional allies or colleagues return as friends who support your career. Networks and gains are tightly woven with the 10th house, meaning destiny demands that you use your connections to leave a public mark. Friends can now introduce you to your bosses, to authorities, or influential figures who then kind of shape your path. Career thrives when you maintain broad and strong network. When I say broad, I mean really broad, because 11th Lord has gone 12 places away from itself. And that means you could gain from foreign friends, friends from overseas or clients from overseas. And some of them may start as clients under you and then it blossoms into a lasting friendship. However, if the 11th Lord is debilitated in the 10th house, then that means there could be a tendency to perform for social approval rather than doing your karma authentically. You also got to be wary of having a romantic relationship at work or money matters at work. If you're frivolous with regards to financial matters, it can bring you considerable amount of embarrassment or even disciplinary proceedings against you, which is something you should watch out for. So when we have 11th Lord in the 11th house, this shows continuation of karmas with elder siblings, friends, and social circle from past life. So, in a way, bonds are already established. So, connections kind of manifest very easily when you have 11th Lord in the 11th house. It's a very powerful place for the 11th Lord to be in. You are a natural networker. You don't go in search of friends, they come to you. A very magnetic placement. Also, one of the most ideal placements for the 11th Lord to be in, because not only do you gain from friendship, your friends gain from this connection as well. It's mutually beneficial and mutually nourishing. Your network of friends keep expanding as time passes by. But the problem with this placement is that there could be overcrowding of circles. Too many friends, not enough depth, there's not enough emotional connection. And since there's overcrowding, you would also tend to lose your own voice in the crowd. So, of course, it has its challenges as well. And if the 11th Lord is malefic, people may come for gain but leave when it's inconvenient for them. But if the 11th Lord is exalted, then that makes the person very practical and materialistic in friendship. The person cares about who brings what amount of money or benefit, and then the treatment is given according to that. Very selfish position as well. So, this is true even if the person is born with many siblings. He'd look at who brings the most gains. Very pragmatic, very materialistic, but it's one of the placements of having a large network. Friends also come from backgrounds connected to taxes, connected to audit, accountancy, banks, or any financial institutions, or where there is handling of big data. Okay. And 11th Lord in the 12th house. Foreigners, outcasts, artists, and mystics are your friends. Your name spreads when you step out of your local circle. In a way, recognition comes through international connections, overseas travel, foreign clients, or even global communities. You gain friends through travel. You gain friends from distant, faraway places. Long distance connections are seen from this placement. Your social circle could also be pretty much over the internet with 11th Lord in the 12th house. Like social media or WhatsApp groups, friends who are themselves living in faraway places, secluded and away from the daily bustle of life. 12th house is relaxation. So you gain when you go to a place of rest or rejuvenation. It can also indicate that your friends are coming from spiritual places, ashrams, or from hospitals, or from very challenging situations. So, mostly, this is an indication of behind the scenes friends, friends you don't meet face to face on a daily basis, or friends you don't meet in person very often, or friends you make due to anonymity through online friend groups. So recognition then comes anonymously or through whispers like, you know what? this person is the one making things happen. And that drives a sense of curiosity in people's minds, and then they want to connect with you. So promotion happens word of mouth from one person to the other. 11th Lord in the 12th means that you gain through surrender and not really strategy. This is very important. True fulfillment comes only when desires are surrendered. You could now channel gains into service, charity, or higher causes. And that's one of the remedy. The other one is to let go of needing to own your tribe. You don't want to be a control freak when you have 11th Lord in the 12th house. You need to let go of expectations from friends. Just love them for what they are, and that's it. However, if the planet is malefic, if the 11th Lord is malefic in the 12th house, then it shows loss of friends due to distance, due to misunderstandings, or different life paths, or even separation due to death. That could also happen. Now, if the 11th Lord is debilitated, then it can create a very delicate situation where your friends drain you of your money, of your resources, and you could also get misled or misguided by people. But of course, it's very important to also check your ninth house, your ascendant, and the seventh house, because that will show you if you are someone who'd get swayed by such persuasive people or you would hold your ground, you know. And if your ascendant is strong by occupation of a benefic planet or by its aspect, then definitely the story changes. Now, the third part to see where your friends are coming from is to look at Rahu and Saturn. Rahu gives you unconventional, foreign, intoxicating friends. It shows your obsession, the kind of group you chase, even if they're no good for you. Spiritual Rahu brings rebels with a cause. Material Rahu brings cloud chasers. Your karma is to choose which one. And if you look at Saturn and where it is placed in your chart, that could reveal the kind of serious and long term friends that you're going to get. Remember, Saturn delays but never denies. And wherever Saturn sits, those are the friends that teach you lessons of loyalty, of time, and resilience. So let's say, for example, Saturn is in the second house. Then your friends can come from family or from financial backgrounds, that kind of stuff. Of course, not going to cover each and every house for Rahu and Saturn. That's your homework. All right. So next time you ask, why don't I have real friends, or why do I keep attracting the same kind of people? Don't look outside. Look at your 11th house. Look at Saturn. Look at Rahu. Look at the 11th Lord. And look at the karma you're here to burn. Friendship is not just luck, it's energy. So clean up your energy and the right people will find you. Okay? And that's all for today. And if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button to also like and share this video with your friends and family. And I will see you guys again with another new video very soon.